Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts with another boxing, another offline product gaming review. This is Hyrule Warriors, the definitive edition for the Nintendo Switch. To jump right into it, my physical copy came with the update version 1.0.0, so it's the vanilla version. Now, this is the definitive edition. This is probably the most updated, completest version of Hyrule Warriors. It comes with both the Wii U version, as well as the 3DS version, as well as all the currently released DLC, all right on one cartridge. And it does come with everything on the cartridge as well, so it's the most complete copy of Hyrule Warriors. Now, Hyrule Warriors is a Dynasty Warrior style game. I've never actually sat down and played any of the original Dynasty Warriors, even though there's a ton of them. So this was actually my first time really sitting down playing it. And though the best way I can summarize the entire experience as repetitive, but there were many ideas and concepts I really enjoyed about this game. Now, to start out and say, I did not 100% complete this game. I did not do absolutely single everything, as I have not looked into how long it would take to beat this, or 100% complete it, or do everything in this game, but this game is packed with content. It's just oodles and poodles of stuff to do. And sadly, it does get repetitive because a lot of it just formulates in the same things. You have a legend mode, which is the story-driven aspect, which is pretty good. It's got a pretty good generalized Legend of Zelda story. But also it has adventure mode, which is kind of like a adventure mode where you played out like a classic NES named Legend of Zelda, but you move into these squares and you go into the battles within these squares, and within these battles you can get fairies, which then you will do the next mode, which is My Fairies, which is a whole nother like pet raising simulator thing where you gotta feed your fairies, the fairies give you special abilities, as well as it got challenge modes, as well as you can upgrade and get equipment for each individual character. Each character has their own combos and abilities and functions. It's packed with content, and there's no way I could spend that amount of time. I can only imagine being thousands of hours to try to 100% this game, because wow. But that's great. There's never should be a complaint about too much content, but there's sometimes being too much content that's just repetitive or just not very interesting. Now, as I said, it's my first time really doing a Dynasty Warrior, and though I really enjoyed the concept of it, where you run around battling tons and tons of enemies littered on the screen, and the combos and the animations are really cool, it gets repetitive, where you constantly just go into a castle, defeat the enemies, capture it, move on to the next. And the game constantly throws out these little side quests and main missions to the point where I get confused what's a side mission, what's a main mission, and just overwhelmed with just constantly telling you to do stuff. As well as that some characters, thankfully you can switch between characters per battle, but some characters you're kind of forced to use for a little bit, and some characters are just not fun to use. Their abilities, their attacks, and so on are just not very good. But as I said, it does get repetitive. But I do think as Dynasty Warrior style game, if it was like the original Dynasty Warrior stuff, I probably wouldn't recommend it. But since this is like Legend of Zelda, it's kind of fun to see the fan service, the ideas of being able to play these iconic characters in a different game style and format. Not just like in Mario Kart, but in a way that you get to fully flesh out the combat and battling and everything like that, and just focus on just being a ultimate character, leveling up, getting better equipment, upgrading your equipment, unlocking badges, newer moves. It's very interesting, and it does make me kind of wish that we had a more dedicated fighting game for Legend of Zelda, like something like Pokemon Tournament. Didn't we get? I think Legend of Zelda would actually be a pretty good, interesting, full-on fighting game like Tekken or so on, or Soul Calibur, however you want to look at it. But I mean, Hyrule Warriors is what it is. It's a Dynasty Warrior with Legend of Zelda story and theme. It's definitely a fan service game. If you're really a fan of Legend of Zelda, you're gonna love this game for just the Legend of Zelda appeal, fan service, and content, and just as well as a lot of the past characters are inside the game, as well as it's really fun to get to play as the villains in the game, which is why one of the most favorite parts of the game was get to play as Ganon and just demolishing the heroes and characters. I have always talked about how I love playing as the bad guys. I'm always like on the villain side, because it's just fun. You can play the hero so many times in these games. It's nice to be able to play the villain, true villain, not some anti-hero or some villain who's a joke, but truly evil like Ganon. So overall, I mean, if you want oodles and poodles of content, and you want a game that you probably could dump 1,000 hours into the game and still not be 100% done, this is a game for you. But just bear in mind that you're gonna be like doing the same levels, pretty much using the same characters, seeing the same environments, fighting the same enemies, using pretty much the same strategy I kept using. Just keep powering up my sword and clearing out a room and just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. As well as some bosses just become damage sponges, where you're whittling on them for a long time to finally get them killed. And it gets, like I said, there's no other word to describe Hyrule Warriors but repetitive. And I don't know if that's all Dynasty Warriors, because this is my first time ever playing a version of it. So maybe Hyrule Warriors is the lesser version of Dynasty Warrior games in terms of keeping it variable, keeping it interesting. I mean, I know there's a Fire Emblem Warriors, as well as they do a new one, Age of Calamity, which I do have all of these, but I have yet to play them. And I do admit, Hyrule Warriors doesn't make me very interested in playing Age of Calamity or Fire Emblem Warriors, because, boy, just playing just the campaign mode was just, I was dreading every single time I was going to my next mission, just because it's just, I knew I was going to be repeating the same process, the same elements over and over again. And it got to the point where I was only doing like 1, maybe 2 missions a day. And that's how long it was taking me. And that's just doing the story mode and Legends. I cannot even imagine trying to run through all of the adventure modes, which got several maps and like several little square locations with each individual missions. And then trying to take care of your fairy, leveling that up and trying to get all the items to upgrade your character. Oh my lord. It is a chore and just an ordeal. Kudos to anyone who can pull it off to 100% complete this game. Frankly, I don't even know if that's an achievement or just more sad that you had to spend that much time trying to complete this game. Because, wow, this game's got so much in it. But I do think it's interesting and very fun. If you love Dynasty Warriors games, this is of course going to be right up your alley. But if you love Legend of Zelda games, I think you could get some enjoyment just by playing the Legends mode and slowly upgrading specific characters. I would not recommend trying to 100% complete the game unless this is the only game you will ever play and only have on your Switch. But it is nice to have the Definitive Edition, everything on the cartridge, fully updated. I mean, there was an update available, but I didn't have any issues or problems playing through the game, and I was glad to have all the DLC and 3DS characters and all that stuff packed into the game. It's just a big package. It's what I expect when a game is called the Definitive Edition, and then I do recommend the game because on cartridge, as a product, it's phenomenal. But as a software or game-wise, I mean, it's a fun game. It's a one-off for me. I'm glad I ran through it. I'm glad I experienced the fan service, the Legend of Zelda theme, because I'm just a fan of Legend of Zelda games. But overall, I say look into it definitely. It's well worth your time to probably pick up on your Switch. So like always, I try to leave links down in the description if you're an instant copy. Like I said, look into it. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!